It's Thursday morning. It's 9 a.m. That is when the fun begins. It is Our Town here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swinson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. We have 6 guests and 5 interviews on the program this morning. We'll have our monthly conversation with Decorah City Manager Travis Goedken. We'll talk to 2 representatives from Helping Services for Youth and Family, Brittany McIntyre and Victor Corodono. And they will be discussing January being Stalking Awareness Month. We will have that conversation later on in the program. Next week is the Decorah High School Madrigal Dinner. We'll have a preview of that and how you can get tickets with Decorah High School Vocal Music Director Jason Rausch. We will also talk with Aubrey Buresh. Aubrey is a Decorah High School graduate, and she will be playing in a collegiate all-star rugby contest down in Houston, Texas this weekend. We'll have that conversation. But first things first, a new presentation from the new Minows players will begin tonight. And let's hear all about it with Sheryl Scheffert, our first guest this morning on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Always good to touch base with our friends at the new Minows players. Sheryl Scheffert with us this morning, and she's here to talk about Matilda the Musical. Sheryl, I guess can I still say Happy New Year on January 18th?
Definitely. Happy New Year to you.
And another calendar year and another year of production from the new Minows players. Tell us about Matilda the Musical.
Matilda the Musical is based on the novel Matilda, which is a children's novel by Roald Dahl. And it's full of fun songs and fun characters. We have a cast of about 30, and we begin the show Thursday, today as it is, the 20th of January.
And I look at the schedule. You're having 6 performances of this event this weekend and next weekend. I'd imagine that's a sign that this is going to be a pretty popular show. Is that fair to say?
I believe that's true. And I actually think there's 7. So we have this week, we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 1 performance each day. And then next week, we're skipping to the 28th. We have a Friday performance, and then we have 2 performances on Saturday, both a matinee and an afternoon. So it's 6 days of performances, but a total of 7 performances.
And how many people are involved in this production overall?
Probably 40 if you count all the people backstage and on stage and helping with various aspects.
And it looks like it's just kind of a fun, energetic, kind of empowering, kind of an uplifting production and story from what you guys are telling us about it. Is that a accurate synopsis?
I think that is a perfect synopsis. One of the things that I love about this kind of show is that it has enough reality in the characters that we can all relate to the circumstances. It's not completely out there, but it also has that dynamic where the kind of evil characters are pretty evil. You know, you don't have to spend time worrying about, oh, why is this person that way and what was their background. They just get to be the bad people. And there's something kind of refreshing, and you can just let go of the realities of day to day and exist in that world for a little while.
And for people interested in attending one of these 6 performances, how do they purchase tickets?
We have tickets in 2 ways. We have them online at newminowsplayers.org, and those are going quickly. Some of them, if you click on the dates, you'll find they are sold out, although it's still possible to get on a waiting list, and all those directions are easily available online. We also sell tickets at the Oneota Community Food Co-op, and right now there are still tickets for every single performance at the co-op. If you're local and can go there, I would encourage you to do that. But otherwise, getting on a waiting list is a fairly sure bet of getting into the show. We have 46 normal seats that are always in the theater. We have auxiliaries that we set up. And then we end up with people little people, children usually, wanting to sit on pillows, which frees up seats, and basically we hardly ever need to turn anyone away. Not saying this won't be the time, but instructions on the website are your best go-to to work through that whole scenario if you're interested and not able to go to the co-op and get tickets, or if you wait too late and the co-op tickets are gone.
And from the sound of things, if you're wanting to go, you better get those fast, because it seems like it's going to be a pretty popular event.
I think it will. Thank you.
So anything else you want to pass on regarding Matilda the Musical starting this weekend?
I should say this important thing: we are requiring masks.
Okay.
The children and adults on stage are all wearing masks, and the audience needs to wear masks as well. So thank you in advance to all of our audience members who are coming out and protecting each other and all the people on stage by using masks.
Well, if that's the way it is, that we need to protect each other to enjoy this great community theater, that will be the way we need to do things. Sheryl, we always appreciate catching up with you and hearing about the great things going on with the new Minows players. Thanks for the time this morning, and best of luck with the show coming up this weekend and next weekend.
Thanks so much, Darren. Always appreciate you.
Sheryl Scheffert from the new Minows players, Matilda the Musical. The new Minows Players Theater this or tonight, Friday night and Saturday night, as well as Sunday, and then Friday and Saturday next weekend, with Saturday the 29th with 2 performances that day. Head to the new Minows Players website for all of the details. Having a conversation this morning with Decorah High School graduate Aubrey Buresh. She is a UNI student, and she's made her mark in the sport of rugby here this fall. And Aubrey, before we get talking about the UNI rugby squad and an opportunity that you'll have this weekend, I know you were a very active student at Decorah High School, involved in many activities. What drew you to rugby once you got to college?
I think after I realized that my favorite sport, soccer, just wasn't gonna work out for me. I was just kind of burnt out from it. I decided that I wanted to do something new, and something that was revealed to me, I guess, through actually campus tours was women's rugby, because I saw it chalked all over the sidewalks, and like there were so many posters and just a lot of advertisement. And so I was like, that sounds kind of interesting to me. And I always joked about it with my mom and dad, because I don't know, I guess I didn't feel like I was kind of the type to go out and do a different sport that I wouldn't do, especially it being rugby. But yeah, that's just kind of how it started. And I was able to go to the like fair at college when I decided to go to UNI, where they have like all those sports, or all those activities. And I went up to the rugby booth and I signed up, and then I got an email saying that they were going to have a rugby camp like that following weekend. And so I went, and I guess I never left. That's how it went.
To a layperson like myself and like many other people in our audience, describe rugby to us in as simple of a way as possible.
Oh gosh. I guess I would describe rugby, it's like a mixture of football, maybe some soccer in a way, kind of like basketball also. You're just trying to score more points than the opposing team, I guess, obviously. And the only way you can do that is by crossing the try line. But in crossing the try line, you have a ball, but you can't pass it forwards. You always have to pass it backwards. So I guess that's how I would explain it to the best of my ability. But yeah, I would for sure say it's most similar to football in a sense, kind of.
And I know you did play soccer in high school.
Yeah, I did.
Knowing the fact that there is a little bit of an element of soccer into rugby, did that help in the transition at all, or are they basically different enough that there wasn't really anything to compare that transition to?
In rugby, you can kick the ball forward. I I do remember scoring a try of kicking like a pop in the air and getting it and getting across the try line and scoring. So that was kind of pay tribute to my soccer days. I'd like to think of it as. So yeah, it did help a lot, I would say.
And you mentioned you're a student at UNI, and you've been a part of the UNI women's rugby team, and you guys had a very successful fall this past year. Tell us about your season, because you guys got to really compete at a national level, didn't you?
Yeah. So I think we had 4 in-conference games that allowed us to move forward to, I guess, nationals. And so that was in Knoxville, Tennessee. And yeah, it was a great experience. I can't really put into words like how amazing it was. It was nothing I personally had ever really experienced before, I would say. And to be able to do it with my whole team was really fun. It was just, yeah.
And how about the camaraderie you develop with people that are involved in that activity? I know you get that through quite a few activities you've been involved with, like in high school in the past. What type of camaraderie have you developed with your teammates rugby-wise at UNI?
I feel like we're a very inclusive group of gals. We take anybody in that wants to learn how to play rugby, whether they've played like 4 years in high school or are just coming to just have fun, kind of. Yeah, it's been really fun getting to meet all these girls from all these different backgrounds. I've learned so much. I know, especially from my captains, I've learned so much confidence from them and like how to step up into leadership roles and things like that. They've been very influential. Yeah, I love them. They're my besties, I guess, I would say.
And you can never have enough besties, can you?
No, you can't. No.
And this weekend, you had a good enough season individually that you are getting an opportunity through rugby this weekend. Tell us what you're going to be up to.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to be selected for the Midwest Collegiate Sevens All-Star team for our conference, I guess, is how they separate them. And we are going to be going to Houston, Texas to play in a sevens tournament. So I'm really excited for the opportunity. I think it's going to be really fun and just a great way to just up my game a bit and see how far I can go.
And you mentioned your conference. Who is all involved in your conference when it comes to rugby?
Sure. Our team consists of Winona State, Iowa State, University of Minnesota. Did I say Iowa State?
You did.
I don't remember. And then UNI. Yeah, those teams.
And what are you hoping to get out of the experience coming up this weekend in Houston?
I mean, I'm hoping for a win. I think that would be awesome. Our coaches joked that we get to keep the jerseys if we win. So that would be really cool. But yeah, I know some of the girls that I'm playing with already. So I'm just looking forward to building more connections and relationships with them and just having fun. Yeah.
Well, and everybody loves swag, but when you have to earn your swag, that's even more cool, and you'll appreciate that swag even more, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And I guess I'll ask you, just stepping out a little bit big picture wise, if somebody's watching this that's still in high school and heading off to college and maybe wanting to try something they've never tried before, what's your message to those folks that might have some trepidation of saying, is this really for me?
I would say just give it a try. I know from my experience, my coaches would always say you never really truly know what rugby is about until you play your first game. And that was so true. I played my first game and I loved it instantly. Like I wasn't very sure, like within practices, because it's hard to compare practices to an actual game because they're actually so different. But no, I would say just give it a try. The relationships you make within that type of environment is nothing that I have really ever experienced before. And so I'm very happy that I did it. I think it was probably one of the best decisions I've made so far in my life, really.
I think you've alluded to this a little bit. How has this helped you grow as an individual?
How do you mean?
basically, what are you a different type person? Are there some character traits that you have now that maybe you didn't have before giving this a try?
Sure. Yeah, I feel like in high school I was a very shy, reserved person, but now that I've like grown within this sport, I feel much more confident in my skills and abilities, not only like on the pitch, but like in real world. I feel much more confident talking to people. Yeah, it's just made me feel more well-rounded as a person, and just has helped me grow in so many different ways. I can't even like explain them all.
All right, Aubrey, we appreciate you taking some time to tell us about rugby and your connection to it at UNI. Have fun this weekend. Enjoy the experience in Houston, and keep having fun and doing great things at UNI. I know everybody in Decorah is proud of what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Aubrey Buresh, UNI women's rugby player. She'll be heading to an all-star event this weekend in Houston, Texas. Coming up a week from Sunday is the Decorah High School Madrigal Dinner. It'll be the 33rd annual event hosted by Decorah High School's talented vocal music students. And Jason Rausch here to join us to tell us about the Madrigal Dinner. Big time event coming up a week from Sunday. You get entertained, you get fed. What more could you ask for?
I don't know. I mean, you're inside, you're not outside being cold, right? So you get these wonderful, energetic and eager students to bring back this popular event that it's our 33rd annual. And we weren't able to have this event in this format last year. So it's fun to be back together again, doing it again. But yes, it is Sunday, January 30th at 5 p.m. at Decorah High School. It's a full dinner. It's catered by our chef here at Decorah Schools, Chad Elliott. It'll be served by our students. It all starts at 5 p.m. with a processional with the trumpets calling out for the procession from the royal court, the king and queen, and all of the courtiers to process in, and we have our toasts and we get to eat, and there's lots of music throughout. There's a great play put on by about 8 actors that's kind of like Monty Python, kind of like some silly humor, good storyline through there with a positive ending where everybody finds true love and get some good belly laughs in there.
As for the music and the play itself, kind of takes you back a few centuries, correct?
Yeah, we're trying to recreate 16th century England with a 21st century spin on it, I guess. We have our king, Dylan Mulbauer. We have our queen, Sally Laybourne, and they're trying to get a couple of their relatives through an arranged marriage to a poorly arranged marriage, and somebody falls in love with somebody else in the play, and so it all comes out in the end that people love the other people. We have a jester and we have a jestress. You just have to see it. You just have to see it to understand what's all happening there.
And as for tickets, people wanting to purchase those, there's a deadline coming up next week, correct?
Yeah, I think we're selling tickets through Wednesday, January 26th at noon. And you can get tickets online at decorahschools.ludus.com. It's a similar ticket. It's the same ticketing company we used for our musical in the fall. If you can find that in many places in media. You could also call the school if you want to get that address, but it's decorahschools.ludus, LUDUS.com, and the tickets are $25 a piece. We are this year, due to the pandemic, offering some tickets just to sit in the back of the hall and watch instead of participating in the dinner, if that's what somebody feels more comfortable with. And those tickets are $10. You can also just call Jackie at the high school office and pay by check if you would like, or stop in the office, I guess, and pay by check if that's, or cash if that's what you prefer to do. But all the seats are assigned seating. You can choose online where you want to sit and who you want to sit with. You can see who else is sitting at that table. It's kind of a new thing this year with that.
How many young people are involved in this production?
I would say there's about 50 students participating this year between singers and instrumentalists and the actors.
And how much work goes in to putting this production on? How much time have you put in to make sure you put on a good show on January 30th?
Yeah, we started around Thanksgiving or just before that with auditions for the singer ensembles. KT Truen is handling the actors and the play, and they auditioned around about that time too, and they've been rehearsing. They've been rehearsing throughout this month, and the Madrigal Singers group, who are the Royal Court, they rehearse 3 times a week at 7 a.m. So we're out here in the cold mornings, getting to school in the dark, and rehearsing at 7 o'clock. And then there's another group of singers too, and they rehearse 1 morning a week at 7 a.m. And we've been going since Thanksgiving, so it's kind of a way to pass the time during the winter season.
Get you out of the doldrums too, because it's cold, it's wintry, it's short days, everything like that. But when you have something like this to look forward to, that kind of brightens up winter as well as you can possibly do it at this time of year, right?
Absolutely. To see the kids walk in with their cheery faces at 7 a.m., we kind of cheer each other on and make it a good day from the start. Anything
we're missing, Jason? Anything else you want to pass on?
Yeah. The menu, we're having pork loin and potatoes and green beans and carrots and assorted cheesecake and all those things. And if somebody is a vegetarian or needs a gluten-free meal, those options are available. Also, you just request it at the time of purchase of your tickets.
All right. All right, Jason, we appreciate you taking some time to tell us about the Madrigal dinner coming up a week from Sunday. Ticket deadline is next Wednesday, either online at the Decorah or at the Decorah High School office. Best of luck with the event coming up a week from Sunday, and stay warm.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate it.
Jason Rausch, vocal music instructor at Decorah High School. The Madrigal dinner coming up a week from Sunday. Purchase your tickets by next Wednesday. Couple of representatives from Helping Services for Youth and Families joining us this morning, Brittany McIntyre and Victor Corodono, and we are going to be talking about the issue of stalking. And Brittany, we'll start with you. I think stalking is one of those things that I think most people realize what it is, but if they're asked to specifically define what it is, that creates maybe a little bit more of a challenge. As someone who deals with this issue as part of their profession, how would you define stalking?
Yeah, so stalking actually can be pretty difficult to define because what it is 2 or more, a pattern of behavior being 2 or more that would cause a reasonable person to feel fear. So these can be things like unwanted phone calls, unwanted texts, either digital monitoring or physical monitoring, checking in with people's friends and family to get information about them. So it's going to look different for everybody. But if somebody has a pattern of behaviors that's causing you to feel fear or threatened, that's when it can be defined as stalking.
And Victor, I'd imagine as the world gets more digitized and the world gets more closely connected via the interwebs, stalking is a way different deal than it was perhaps 15 to 20 years ago. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. A lot of our social media things have like a location service on them. So it's much easier to find where people are at that any given time. So yeah, it's looking a lot different than, in past years. It's much easier to locate someone nowadays.
And Brittany, regarding services for those who are dealing with this is kind of a new avenue that Helping Services has gotten into. What type of services does Helping Services provide to those that are dealing with this challenging issue?
Yeah, so Helping Services just recently got a new federal grant that has allowed us to take on stalking victims. So with these services, or with this new grant, we can offer, the same services that we've been offering to domestic violence victims. So things like crisis counseling, medical advocacy, assistance with law enforcement or the court systems. So helping get criminal and civil no contact orders, things like that. Really anything that the client feels like is directly or indirectly related to their stalking situation, we can kind of step in and help them assist through that process.
And of course, there are people in our area that have English as a second language, and that's kind of where you come in, correct, Victor, right?
Yep, it is. I also work with there's also another advocate that we have that has, can help out with Spanish speaking as well. But yes, a lot of times if a male calls and he's Spanish speaking, I'll speak to him, or, we kind of share duties. But yes, that's where I'll come in. I'll play a big part.
And Brittany, for those that are dealing with this issue and want to contact Helping Services for the services that you provide, how do they get a hold of you?
Yep. So we've got a couple different ways that they can reach out to us. We've got our 800 number, which is 1-800-383-2988. And that number is a 24-hour line. Either a trained advocate or a trained volunteer is going to answer that line to help answer any questions they may have. And during COVID, we also were able to add a chat option. So now if you go to helpingservices.org/chat, you can reach out to an advocate that way, and the on-call advocate will respond via chat as well.
And Victor, Brittany just brought up the issue of during COVID, and granted, things are a lot more opened up than they were in the early part of 2020. Did that create a special challenge to those dealing with these type of issues, knowing the fact that there really wasn't any outlet or as many outlets as you would have in normal times?
Absolutely. A lot of times with stalking and DV cases, it's tough for someone to reach out initially, and and then being home during COVID with someone who it might be the abuser, maybe they're being stalked. It's harder for them to reach out because they don't have a safe place to go to make those calls, or they don't have free time away to from maybe their kids or other people in the family to seek the help they needed. So yeah, it's COVID played a big part this year for sure.
And Brittany, I'll ask you anything else that you would like to the public to know regarding A, the issue of stalking, or B, the services that Helping Services provides related to this issue?
I think I'd just like to recognize, so January is National Stalking Awareness Month. So it's important that we, I really appreciate that we were able to come on here and talk about the issue, and just be able to recognize that Helping Services is now supporting these victims. In the past, we were able to support those stalking victims where the perpetrator was a intimate partner or a former intimate partner. But that's only about 50% of stalking cases. So now that we're able to reach that other 50%, I just really appreciate that we were able to get that out there for the community and, to be aware of.
And Victor, do you have anything to add? Anything else that we haven't touched on that the public needs to know?
Yes. I just want to remind everybody about that 1-800 number in our chat option. But also keep in mind, we're completely free and confidential. And even if, maybe you're not in the situation, but you see someone who is, you can call at any time and just ask some questions, and maybe run it by us. We can, we'll listen, we'll hear, maybe throw out some options to you to help assist your friend or family member that's in that situation. But yeah, just, we're free and confidential. We have that chat option, and our 800 number is 24/7. So.
All right, Brittany McIntyre and Victor Corodono, we appreciate you joining us and talking about the awareness of Stalking Awareness Month here in the month of January. We thank you for your time, and more importantly, we thank you for all the services you provide the folks here in Northeast Iowa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Brittany McIntyre, Victor Corodono with Helping Services for Youth and Families, discussing January being Stalking Awareness Month. Having our monthly conversation with Decorah City Manager Travis Goedken. And Travis, this week, the City Council held its budget work session for fiscal year 2023. What's the levy rates looking like after you guys had all your discussions last night, or have you finished that projection yet?
Right, so that rate is to be determined at this point. So last night, after the council started about 4:15, I think we called it around 9 o'clock. And so the council will reconvene on the 31st to pick up where we left off and keep going. So that rate's yet to be determined, and we'll figure that out here soon.
When it comes to new initiatives this year, what's going to be on that list?
So our new item requests are pretty minimal. A lot of equipment replacements and things like that associated. But I know one item that did have a decent amount of council conversation last night. It's a new, well, I'll call it new, but it's a reemergence of a K9 program with the Decorah Police Department. Chief Smutzler was a K9 handler when he was an officer with the department, and when his K9 unit retired, the city did not continue with that program. And so that would probably be the newest initiative that garnered the most conversation last night.
Have you decided to move forward on that initiative yet, or is that yet to be determined?
So that is still included in the budget at this point, and things are looking like it's going to be included in the final proposal.
Are you expecting an increase, or expecting a decrease, or expecting things to stay about the same, or again, is that still up in the air?
It is still up in the air. If I was to, again, this is ultimately up to council approval at the end of the day, but there are a number of things that are working against the city on the levy rate itself. The city participates in ICAP, which is an assurance pool. And where it differs a little bit from assurance is it's a pot of money that all the members pay into, so that if you've got an insurance claim, there's money there to pull from. Well, ICAP has a lot of members that had the derecho come through last year. And so with all of those communities with the claims, our insurance is going up considerably on the property rates. We also have health insurance rates going up. Debt service, Locust Road is coming on as a full payment, so that increased the debt service levy by about 40 cents. And again, with the state of Iowa tax code changes that started back in 2015, and again, backfill reduction, we've got the tax base itself gets smaller, even though there is community growth that does replenish some of that loss, but the existing base it gets smaller based on those tax law changes.
So in the big picture regarding the budget, if the levy rate does go up, are you basically saying most of the factors for it potentially increasing are outside of your control?
Several, yes. Again, insurance rates, retirement systems with the police and fire account, that's another contributing factor. And the rest of what we would call the general fund allocation, staff has proposed maintaining the 810 general levy limit and not levying any emergency funding, which the city has utilized in the past, not proposing to utilize any of that, but keeping general fund levies at the 810 limit.
Another issue that you discussed last night was the city's response to the Iowa Utilities Board. From what I understand, and please tell me if I'm wrong, because I've been wrong plenty of times before, the city has requested some information from Alliant Energy. Alliant Energy has told the Iowa Utilities Board that basically they feel that any information they give the city would be used against them in a potential vote for a municipal electric utility down the road, and that the IUB shouldn't get involved in a local municipal election. Is that a fair synopsis of where we're at?
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary of the initial filing from the city standpoint, as well as the Alliance response to that request. So the item on the agenda last night was put on as a placeholder. So at this current point, both sides are awaiting a response from the IAUB on their determination of alliance response. Once that determination comes out, and that deadline is the end of this week, both parties have 14 days to respond. And so that item was placed on the agenda since we put out a agenda on Friday for a Monday meeting in some kind of anticipation. Should a response be received, we at least had it on the agenda to discuss. No response has been received as of yet. So it's looking like next week on the 24th, which would have been a council work session, should we receive something this week in time to post, a special meeting will probably be called on the 24th.
And are you expecting something by this week?
Correct. But if it's Friday or Saturday, we may not have time to comply with open meetings law.
Another item that you discussed last night was a easement agreement with Vesterheim. How did that turn out?
Yeah, so that's that easement agreement. It's for their proposed project to encroach, for lack of a better term, on city right of way. The proposal is for the footings of their new building to extend into the right of way so that the building itself can come right up to the property line. And then does also include some in-ground lighting for accent on the front of the building. So no comments received during the public comment, and council approval on that with no issues in discussion.
I know a couple of weeks back, I had a conversation with city engineer Jeremy Brill on this program about the new regulations related to snow removal in the city of Decorah. Are people getting a little bit more used to these new regulations, or you feel a little bit of a refresher is necessary?
Yeah, it's still a struggle. We're having a lot of educational efforts. We'll call them that, Darren. A lot of educational efforts, and maybe a refresher is needed. So real briefly, a snow emergency automatically goes into effect with an inch of snow, but we do our best to advertise. We post through social media outlets, radio, print media, every which way we can to get out to the public when it's going to start, and more importantly, when it's going to end. So for this latest snowfall, for example, it was Sunday afternoon that it ended. And I know a lot of listeners, viewers are probably going to say, well, Sunday, we didn't have any snow at all. But remember, a snow emergency for Decorah doesn't remove every bit of on-street parking. It just kicks in the alternative side parking. So on even days, you park on the even side of the street. Odd days, you park on the odd side. So that extra day gets the vehicles to the other side so that side of the street can be plowed.
All right. Anything else you feel the public needs to be reminded of, as long as you got the forum this morning?
Mm-hmm. Any questions whatsoever, please give us a call. We'd be more than happy to. We'd love to educate through the phone as opposed through a sticker on your car.
Fair enough. Travis, we appreciate you joining us and updating us on what's going on in the city of Decorah. As always, look forward to our conversation next month, and stay warm.
Thanks, Darren. You too.
Travis Goedken, city manager of Decorah, telling us about what's going on in the city of Decorah. Our thanks to our guest this morning, Sheryl Scheffert from the New Minows Players. Matilda, the play, beginning tonight. Tickets still available at newminowsplayers.org and at the Oneota Community Co-op. Aubrey Buresh, Decorah native, UNI rugby women's rugby players. She'll be playing in an all-star series down in Houston, Texas this weekend. We thank Aubrey for taking a little time to tell us about what's going on there. Jason Rausch, Decorah High School vocal music director. The Madrigal dinner coming up soon. And we also want to thank Brittany McIntyre and Victor Corodono from Helping Services for Youth and Family, discussing January being Stalking Awareness Month, and our monthly conversation with Decorah City Manager Travis Goedken. Don't forget, each and every week we put these shows on YouTube so you can actually watch and see the interesting people we have the opportunity to talk to week in and week out. We post them to all of our radio stations' Facebook pages. And like for today's show, just go to YouTube, a 1/20 Our Town program, and you can search it that way as well. So we realize you can't always be by the radio at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, and we want to give you the opportunity to hear the informative and entertaining people we get to talk to week in and week out. And that is the way that you can get this show via the archive on the YouTube. This is Our Town, and it's available in multiple formats. So we're just trying to keep up with the technology here in 2022. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust. And most importantly, we thank you. That's right, you, the listener, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.